We are back at Portman Road for today's main feature. Full commentary of Ipswich Town versus Nottingham Forest on both BBC Radio Suffolk and BBC Sounds this afternoon. We'll hear from former Town and England captain Mick Mills in a moment. He's alongside Brenna Woolley.
So for the third time this season and the second time in less than a fortnight, we're about to see the season's surprise package up close and personal. No one could have predicted what Nottingham Forest have done these past few months. Tipped by many to face another relegation battle, they're currently third in the table, through to the quarter-finals of the FA Cup, as we know all too well. That said, and I know they beat Manchester City last weekend, their form at the moment isn't outstanding. In fact, in all competitions, they've won only 2 of their last 8 games inside 90 minutes. So maybe there's cause for optimism. They've also lost their last 3 on the road in the Premier League. You should also remember that Town have already run them close in both of their previous meetings, with very little between the sides in their 2 City ground encounters. And boy, do the Blues need to finally get one over on them this afternoon. This long-awaited first victory of 2025 will be very welcome ahead of an ominous-looking April. And Mick, we do kind of agree, don't we, that Town have kind of got to win this game this afternoon, haven't they?
Yeah, well, we're rapidly running out of games, aren't we? And there's also this lengthy break to come after this game. So you really need to go into that type of break feeling fairly good about yourselves. And if we were to win today, I think that you would achieve that. And that would be very handy to take us into the month of April that on paper looks very, very difficult. So you look at this game and you think, well, can we expect to win it? Well, you've already said about their recent sort of times, and that's very true. Their pre-Christmas form was excellent, but their last 8 league games have only given them 11 points. Well, that's okay, but it's not fantastic. And on 2 occasions this season already, away from home, we've ran them very, very close. So that should give us some confidence. And also, when you look at the Forest lineup, they are relatively a young side. A lot of players, early 20s to mid 20s. Is there a little bit of pressure creeping into the camp? It's very possible. So we really have to be confident about this game. And also, I repeat it every time, we are at home. We should be able to do the business.
Yeah, let's hope so. The 2 sides just patting palms as they cross halfway here, as that smoke ascends over Portman Road. The flares have gone off far side, just increasing the atmosphere a notch or 2. Town's final 5 home games of the Premier League season about to get underway. In fact, after today, we've only got 2 more Saturdays up Portman Road before the end of the season. We really are heading towards the business end. And of course, Town's still stuck on 17 points, looking for that elusive 4th win of the Premier League season, and only their 2nd one at Portman Road. It's got to come sooner or later if they'd have any chance of avoiding the drop. One change this afternoon made by Kieran McKenna. Jack Clark drops to the bench. Amari Hutchinson, fully fit again, comes in to Ipswich Town's attacking setup. So once again, Palmer is in goal. We heard from him earlier on. A back 4, the captain O'Shea, Wolfenden, Greaves and Davis. Then Phillips and Kiyuste still the preferred pair in midfield. Morsey's on the bench. And 3 of Philogene and Ciso Hutchinson. It's going to be interesting to see who lines up in the number 10, whether it's in Ciso or Hutchinson. And then Delap, of course, the focal point of the Town attack, looking for his 11th goal of the season. On the bench alongside Morsey, who I mentioned, are Walton, Clark, Hurst, Broadhead, Taylor, Burgess, Johnson and Townsend. So the same 20-man squad was on duty in that defeat to Crystal Palace a week ago. No changes and no surprise, having beaten Manchester City 1-0 in Forest last game. They incidentally in all red this afternoon. Town in blue shirts, white shorts, blue socks. In goal, Matt Selt, the Belgian for Forest. He's had a terrific season, had more clean sheets in the Premier League than any other goalkeeper. His back four's very settled. Aina, Milenkovic, Murillo and Williams. They're 2, because it's the same system as Town. Dominguez alongside Anderson, then a 3 really good players. Alanga, Gibbs White, the captain, who's had a sensational season, the number 10, and Hudson Odoi, who's Graham said was the match winner at both Anfield and against Manchester City. Chris Wood leads the line, and boy has he done some job. Just 2 goals shy of 20 for the season, the New Zealander. On the bench, Hennessy, Morato, Sangaro, Awani, Moreno, Jota Silva, Yates, the club captain, Danilo and Bolly. hoping to see Omari Hutchinson play where exactly? Because the way the team came out on Twitter, it suggested he might be in the number 10 with Enciso on the left, Mick.
Well, everybody seems to be saying that Philogene is better on the left-hand side, so if that's the case, I think it's an easy permutation. Hutchinson plays in his best position, which is wide right, and Enciso in his best position just behind Liam Delap, and Philogene where everybody says he is best to be. And funny enough, I'm looking at this side, and maybe just Chuanzebe is the only absentee from what I would say is possibly Kieran McKenna's best side, or his best side.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I don't think any of those three players you just mentioned are going to be playing in those positions. I think it's going to be Philogene on the right, Hutchinson in the 10, and maybe Enciso to the left as this game gets underway. Lovely sunny afternoon, perfect conditions for football. Not so perfect for any supporters that have come along and haven't got enough layers, because it is very, very cold at Portman Road. Probably helps if you're in the far stand or half of either end stand, because they're bathed in glorious sunshine, as is the balloon on the field, which Leif Davis is having trouble dealing with. Play briefly halted while Nico Williams, the Welsh left back, who played very well when these two sides met in the league earlier this season, throws the ball forward. So Town playing from left to right in their blue shirts, Forest in all red, obviously defending the end off to our right hand side. Their last man back is in all turquoise. It's Seltz, the goalkeeper, the number 26. He bangs the ball long downfield for Forest. The Ipswich captains having his shirt tugged O'Shea by Wood. Forest have the ball with Anderson. Now Hudson-Odoi, former Chelsea player, back to Gibbs-White. That's a disappointment from Forest fans. He wasn't involved in Thomas Tuchel's first squad yesterday. This man, Elliot Anderson, might have also got the call up but didn't. Guess it maybe benefits Forest. These players getting a couple of weeks off now. Hudson-Odoi shaped to cross, instead he's given it back to Anderson, big money signing last summer from Newcastle. Alanga down the left, overlapping is Williams. Good stuff from Forest. Hudson-Odoi inside the Ipswich Town area, almost gets away from Kayuste, who did very well, the Swedish midfielder, in the end, as the ball's out on this side for an Ipswich Town throw their right.
Well, that's certainly the type of start you want to sort of have if you're the away side. You know, straight away you have about a minute and a half of domination of the ball in a good area as well. It wasn't in the defensive zone, it was in an attacking zone, so that did momentarily quieten the crowd down somewhat immediately after the start of the game.
I understand totally why Nuno, arms folded down below us, has got his beanie hat on, because the wind has just picked up here at Portman Road. Portuguese, what a job he's done. It's his 50th Premier League game in charge of Forest, 21 wins so far. Only Brian Clough and Frank Clark previously with more top-flight victories in their first 50 in charge at the City Ground. Here's Wolfenden, pleased to see him get a little run in the side, benefiting from the absence of Tuanzebe, who Mick mentioned. Greaves, left-footed over the top to Davis, in a good position, onside wide left. Davis into the area, no, comes off Aina, and it's going to be Dominguez, who rather casually runs the ball out of play. No, says the referee. Kayuste with a clever step over far side, allows the ball to run through to Greaves. Phillips getting a little run in the team as well. The on-loan Manchester City player, he's got to make the most of it. Wolfenden up to Hutchinson, lovely turn from Hutchinson, takes on Elliot Anderson, gets the better and goes down outside the area. Terrific work from the former Arsenal and Chelsea man. He's won Town a free kick just outside the box. Yeah, the first bit of good play was Leif Davis. He went on one of those sort of movements forward, and I was watching the Nottingham Forest players. They totally and utterly ignored him. They should do their homework better than that. And then all of a sudden the ball's come over this side. Omari Hutchinson's picked up possession, and his first contribution to the game was top class. He's ran the ball under good control. He's now got a free kick for his team in an absolute perfect position for himself personally. So referee, incidentally, Michael Salisbury. He's refereed Town twice already this season. Bournemouth here. He was in charge at Anfield a couple of months ago. Ipswich Town's free kick is no more than, 22 yards from goal, right of centre. Two potential candidates to take it. It's either Enciso or Hutchinson who won the set piece. They're primed 4 minutes on the clock at Portman Road. It's Hutchinson who gets it up, hits the wall face height, deflects back to the number 20 on this right-hand side. Hutchinson then lays it off to Wolfenden. Wolfenden plays it forward looking for Philogene, intercepted by Anderson. He's having a good season, the Forest number 8, player that Newcastle United were loath to see depart last summer. Had to sell him due to PSR rules and regulations. Of course, the Carabao Cup final tomorrow, talking of Newcastle, Liverpool-Newcastle at Wembley. Here come Ipswich, and Ciso with the ball. Great running from him, gets the edge of the area, and then there were just too many red shirts back, brought away by Gibbs-White. Into the centre of the field, it's Dominguez, has played for Argentina. Out of the left-hand side, good ball to Hudson-Odoi. Time might be a little bit light at the back. Hudson-Odoi loves to run with the ball, edge of the area. Held up eventually by Philogene back defending. Good work from the former Aston Villa player. Williams, once of Liverpool. Back to Murillo, the Brazilian. Such a impressive pair, Murillo and Milenkovic at centre-half for Forest. Hudson-Odoi again on the ball, wants to take on Philogene, gets the better of him. Low ball into the Ipswich area, intercepted this time by Phillips, getting back in a good position between right back and centre-half, and clearing towards Delap, battling with Milenkovic. That is going to be a good battle as well between the Ipswich Town striker and the Serbian centre-half.
Well, there's some really good stuff at the start of this game. Hudson-Odoi, I do like him as a player, and that was a great contribution from him. But when we won possession of the ball and balls cleared, Liam Delap, there's not many players that would make something of that ball out of defence, but he did well for his team.
Well played, Kayuste, finding Phillips. Phillips can't control it. Forest now could be ominous. No, the layoff from Wood wasn't good enough for Gibbs-White. Bit of frustration for the Forest captain. That was an opportunity for Forest to do some damage there. 6 minutes gone live on BBC Radio Suffolk and BBC Sounds this afternoon, so it can be heard across the UK. Wolfenden in sunshine, pretty much on the centre spot. Gets the ball under the studs of his right boot, then finds O'Shea, the skipper, to his right-hand side. Again, Morsey on the bench this afternoon. Hutchinson on the right-hand side. He's had a good start to the game, Hutchinson. There is Kayuste. Wolfenden, first time to Greaves. Greaves lets the ball run across him, deceives Dominguez. Leif Davis on the far side. So there was a shout for both he and Delap to have been in Tuchel's squad yesterday. Delap, Hutchinson and Philogene all set to go away with the under-21s. Wolfenden up towards Delap, nice touch Hutchinson. Hutchinson tries to find Delap, unlucky. Forest quickly up to Elanga. On the left-hand side, Hudson-Odoi. He's going to be a danger, overlapping Elanga, the former Manchester United man, down the left channel inside the Ipswich area. 0-0, back to Hudson-Odoi. Infield, great ball, finds Anderson outside the Ipswich area, drops the shoulder, gets into the box. Still Elliot Anderson, turns away from goal. Forest have it on the left. In comes the cross from Hudson-Odoi, comes off the outstretched leg of Kayuste, and it's another throw to Forest outside the Ipswich area.
Yeah, it's continued. This is a really bright, enjoyable game, attacking game. Forest are certainly not sitting back like you sometimes expect them to do, and the start of that attack, the ball of Williams, the Forest left back, was exceptional to set that whole thing up.
I thought he looked a good player when he came through as a right back, really, at Liverpool. Nico Williams, been an excellent signing for Forest. It's interesting how often Elanga and Hudson-Odoi find themselves on the same side of the pitch. For two wide players, they play very close together. I noticed that at the City Ground. It was really unusual a few weeks ago in the FA Cup, because they did start that game, both of them. They kept their place from the previous league game. Back to the halfway line, Milenkovic. He's been in Italy for the last 7 years. Only cost 12 million last summer. Gibbs-White trying to thread it through to Elanga. Wasn't a million miles away from being a peach of a pass, but it's out behind Palmer's goal.
Well, so far you can understand why these two teams actually have already run themselves very, very close over 2 games, because they're a match for each other, really are. The systems are exactly the same, 4-2-3-1, but they're both looking very, very bright.
It's been a far better spectacle this, 8 minutes than I'd seen in the previous 3.5 hours, because they hadn't been classic, those 2 previous meetings. Some nice football being played out there by both these sides, fighting of what would be a huge 3 points at either end of the table, it has to be said. This is a real test for Forest, certainly pressure on them at the other end of the table to capitalise on that Manchester City win a week ago, and of course we all know why Ipswich Town need points. There is Jacob Greaves, Town's last game for 18 days this. Lengthy break, Kayuste into the centre of sunny Portman Road, checks back to Calvin Phillips. Still no goals if you're joining us 9 minutes in. There is Phillips again, lifting the ball to Philogene on this right-hand side. Infield to Hutchinson, pokes it around the corner to Kiyuste, who shrugs off his international colleague Alanga. Crossing halfway is Greaves. Davis available far side. He's carried the ball a distance up towards Enciso, and Enciso got the ball sort of lost between his feet, then tried to jab it out to Davis. Aina, the Nigerian fullback, was able to dink it into the Forest crowd.
Yeah, good play again by Town. The first thing they had to do was come away from this right-hand touchline, which was really congested, and we came out really, really well with some quality football.
Town have started this game well. It's a good game, this, between these two sides. Kiyuste winding up this throw into the Forest area. It comes at 0-0, headed down by Aina. Kiyuste will be able to recycle, left-footed, first-time cross is overcooked beyond the far post. Hutchinson trying to make something of it. Wood's back defending and under pressure from Hutchinson. Excellent work from Omari Hutchinson. Wood has stumbled over the ball and Town have won a corner.
Yeah, debatable whether Hutchinson actually sort of got a little nudge on Wood, but referee linesman very, very close to the situation, so they both ignored it, and it's a corner to Town. So this is a nice little bit of pressure from Ipswich.
Town have their first corner kick in the Portman Road sunshine in the 11th minute. Leif Davis by the tunnel. Town attacking the goal off to our right hand side. Plenty players forward in blue beyond the far stick. It goes towards that area. Big leap up and wide from Delap off his head.
Well, it had to be a far post corner because we had 5 in the box and they were all from the penalty spot to the back post, you know, in pretty much a semicircle, so you knew where the ball was going to be delivered to, but it wasn't quite right for Dara O'Shea there.
Here's Seltz, Forest player for just over a year now. Made that number 1 jersey very much his own. I say number 1, he's got 26 on his back. It's interesting, there's nobody in the Forest squad as number 1, 2 or 3, such as the way the modern day game has gone, but he's certainly been first pick, and rightly so. He was another player that played in the FA Cup game a couple of weeks ago. Of course, saved that Jack Taylor penalty right at the end. Phillips has done well in midfield, finds Hutchinson. He's having a good game. Up against Gibbs-White, though, who takes the ball off of him. Well done, Gibbs-White, trying to get it round the back to Alanga. Intercepted by O'Shea briefly. Now Hudson-Odoi still leading the charge for Forest. Quick feet, gives it to Williams, the number 7. Down the left is Alanga, taking on Philogene. Alanga's cross towards the far post, headed on by Davis, hit by Aina, but with little confidence or accuracy. It spins wide of Palmer's left post, and again that was Alanga and Hudson-Odoi on the same side of the pitch.
Yeah, that's interesting they do that, because that certainly is going to put pressure on our right hand side, no question. You wouldn't want to be playing right back like Dara O'Shea is today, having a double prong wide winger attack.
Here is Palmer. What a signing he's been in January for Town. Takes the ball to the D, off to our left. Wolfenden thinks about going one way, then the other. Drags the ball back under his right boot. Has to catch up with him post-match at Selhurst Park a week ago at Wolfenden. Greaves to the far side. Davis. Greaves inside his area, off to our left, finds Palmer. Palmer then bangs it, right-footed up towards the halfway line. Still no Aaron Muric available for Town at the moment. Walton's on the bench. Wood dropping off the front line. Even he wears the number 11, Chris Wood. Lovely spin from Delap far side, taking on Aina wide left. Goes back towards Greaves. Good game of football, still 0-0. Just about 13 minutes on the clock. Town in blue, white, blue. One change from last week. Clark's on the bench. Hutchinson's into the team. Wolfenden on the edge of the centre circle. Goes to his left-hand side, and Greaves, they've played a number of games, the pair this season. Davis with his heels tight to the far touchline, wastes the ball in field, straight to Anderson rather than Delap. Anderson has to tuck it back to Aina, another former Chelsea player in this Forest side. Well worked by Forest on the far side. Given away by Nottingham Forest. Delap, edge of the area, gets inside the box, not quite, comes out to Enciso, challenged by Aina, and the challenge goes out behind for a corner kick, when a few Town fans were maybe appealing for a free kick just outside the box initially.
Yeah, good play again, a little bit silly play by Forest. They were obsessed with going towards that right touchline. They could have gone back towards the centre half through the goalkeeper and out to the left hand side, but the obsession of playing to the right touchline played them into trouble in the end, and anything could have happened from there. We got a corner, so it's not bad.
Town's second corner kick of this Premier League game. Davis pulls it back to Hutchinson in space, shoots over the bar, given the opportunity though. Sells is complaining about the lack of closing down that he saw in front of him, and understandably so.
Yeah, it was a terrific run to the near post. I think it was either Cajuste or it was Darroche. I couldn't sort of really see which one, but he dragged a couple of sort of defenders towards him, thinking he was going to get a short ball along the byline, but the ball is pulled back to Omari Hutchinson, and that was a good chance for Omari. It really was.
Yeah, it was his ideal area of the field to find, or at least get the shot on target anyway. Murillo, the Brazilian, gives the ball to Williams, part of that latest Wales squad, along with Nathan Broadhead. Town have got a number of players heading off on international duty. Darroche and Jack Taylor heading off with Ireland. Broadhead's in the Wales squad. Ali Al-Hamadi, who I know is at Stoke at the moment, he's part of Iraq's squad. There is Wolverhampton. Burgess away for a couple of World Cup qualifiers with Australia. Of course, I mentioned the three young lads away with England's junior side as well. So they'll be playing a fair bit of football these next couple of weeks before Bournemouth. 2 weeks on Wednesday, that trip to the south coast. Town's game at Chelsea next month moved to Sunday the 13th of April as well in the last day or so. Greaves to Cajuste, far side in front of the Cobbold stand, is robbed by Dominguez, can't keep the ball in there thankfully. It's a throw in to Ipswich. Ipswich certainly playing their part in what's been a good game to watch so far between these two teams at opposite ends of the table. One third from bottom. O'Shea up towards Hutchinson. Hutchinson gets away from Anderson. Brilliant play, then takes on and beats Gibbs-White. Excellent play from Hutchinson. Crosses halfway. Ball out to the left-hand side. Davis. That was lovely from Omari Hutchinson. What can Town do now? Now the layoff from Enciso is nowhere near good enough for Davis.
Started really well, Omari Hutchinson. He's made a lot of good contributions to the game already, but I'm really interested. He's not at the moment Alanga, but I was watching the play just now for about a minute or so, and Alanga and Hudson-Odoi were constantly in a position to the left-hand side of Chris Wood, so I don't know what they're trying to do. They're obviously leave Davis with a lot of freedom over that side, but maybe they've watched our game against Tottenham, I don't know, where we were absolutely destroyed down our right side. It could have been that, a bit of homework, and maybe they've decided to do something like Tottenham did to us.
Philip Jean keeps the ball in near side, which is no mean feat. Hutchinson might lose it. Philip steps in there. O'Shea digs it up in the air, but it had already crossed the line. No complaints. It was clear to see down below us. Live on BBC Radio Suffolk and BBC Sounds this game this afternoon. Ipswich Town 0, Nottingham Forest 0. 17 minutes on the clock. It's been a good game. Williams with this throw-in for Nottingham Forest. Last weekend actually ended a run of 5 games without a win inside 90 minutes for Nottingham Forest. Remember, of course, they were taken all the way to penalties by Exeter in the FA Cup as well. The Premier League form hasn't really hit the heights that it did sort of December, January time when they won 6 in a row. That's what's really built the foundations for where they are at the moment, and the inconsistency of some other clubs up there. That's a Chelsea and Manchester City. Newcastle all have slightly had their wobbles and gone off the boil of late, and that's allowed Forest to keep a hold of this 3rd place in the table. Now it's with Luke Wolfenden. There's the ball, around about 30 yards off the goal line to our left. Greaves up to the chest of Enciso, holding it up against Dominguez. Still got it Enciso, goes down. Free kick just inside the Forest half of the field for Ipswich.
Well, those two look really lively, Enciso and Omari Hutchinson for Town, so that augurs quite well, because they're the guys that can really sort of do clever things.
Mistake from Enciso. Forest have the ball on the right hand side, far side. Alanga checks though. Infield, clever play from Alanga, finds Gibbs-White. Gibbs-White tries to get it back to Alanga. Alanga gets there. In comes his low cross, intercepted out behind by Greaves. Forest have their first corner.
Yeah, that was really good play by those two. I mean, now they sort of found each other sort of on 2 occasions down the right-hand side. Was really clever. Very, very clever.
Alanga on Nottingham Forest's first corner kick of this game, which is 19 minutes old, in the sunshine over in the far left corner of Portman Road under the Sir Bobby Robson stand sign. Alanga has one hand in the air. In comes his driven cross out as far as Williams. Williams with a controlled effort from 18 yards. Pings back to Aina. Now Hudson-Odoi clips the ball towards the far stick. Recycled into the middle by Dominguez, but only to Alex Palmer, thankfully.
Well, that was dangerous. They sort of had 5 in the box for the corner, but they were all very, very central, all around the penalty spot, and that's where the ball went. There was a lot of people challenging for it, but when it was headed out, they had a sort of ring of 3 just outside the penalty area, so they were always able to sort of seize upon that headed clearance and get a shot away, and from that moment onwards they looked a little bit of a threat.
If Davis rather went to sleep there, almost gifted Forrest a really sloppy throw-in from nowhere. Let the ball go under his studs, but just kept it in. Wolfenden finds Greaves, which will suggest that Town have got the ball at the back, which they indeed have, and they're going to keep it there. Now round the corner, Greaves into midfield, Kiyuste robbed by Alanga. Gibbs-White towards Anderson, holds it up against Phillips. It's an interesting battle that. Dominguez down the halfway line to Gibbs-White. England World Cup winner at under 17 level now 8 years ago. Morgan Gibbs-White was very much seen as a real talent then, and he's flourished the last couple of seasons in the red of Nottingham Forest. Here he is now. Gibbs-White can't play the ball forward, gives it back to Milenkovic on the halfway line to his right hand side, and giving him a shout is Aina, but he's gone to the left instead. Now working it down this near side, the Forest left. Gibbs-White to Hudson-Odoi up against Philogene, who's shown a willingness to get back and help O'Shea, which he certainly needs to this afternoon. Murillo gets the better of Delap, and Phillips infield to Wood on the stretch. Toe pokes it to Alanga. Forest have gone from near side to far. Now it's Alanga on the right, trying to take on a couple of players. Can't get the better of Davis. It's heavy touch from him. Breaks to Anderson inside the D, tries to pick his spot. I think it's come off Wood. Not sure they're even going to get a corner kick, Forest. No, they're not. Yeah,
it did come off Wood. You know, that was a little bit of a mistake there by Leif Davis. First time that Alanga has actually sort of stayed on the side that you expect him to stay on, and that's the first time that Leif Davis has really been attacked today.
Yeah, I think Palmer would probably have got Anderson's effort. Tried to curl it rather than belt it. Either way, came off the number 11. And Town have got a goal kick, which they've taken quickly. Palmer straight down the field towards Delap. Milenkovic heads the ball away from Delap. Just that headed effort from Delap is half a sight of goal so far in this 21 goalless minutes. And Ciso throws the ball to Hutchinson, to Delap just outside the Forest area, and Ciso far side pulls the ball back to Kiyuste. We'll find out goal news from elsewhere. We can actually do that now because the ball's on halfway. Great.
Man City ahead at home to Brighton. Wolves ahead at Southampton.
That is not what we wanted to hear. Wolves widening the gap in the live table on Ipswich Town. Wow. Well, if Wolves win that game, anything other than a win here is totally unthinkable, surely. Greaves to the far side, and Ciso. Wolves the next team to visit here in 3 weeks' time off the back of that Bournemouth game. Here is Phillips giving the ball to Delap round the corner, but only to Nico Williams. Delap's going to have his work cut out against these two centre-halves. Hudson-Odoi really up for this game. Rolls the ball down the line to Alanga again, doubling up on the left-hand side, the two flying Forest wingers. Alanga has the ball up against O'Shea, gets into the area, but then runs out of ideas and stumbles as the ball goes out behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, he's got no complaints there. He's sort of completely and utterly overrun it. He had two players to sort of try to sort of take on before he could get a cross in. Never really possible to do that. You know, you might as well just check out and pass the ball backwards rather than sort of take an impossible situation on.
Palmer inside his penalty box off to our left. Neither keeper's conceded so far. Neither keeper's had a great deal to do so far, it has to be said.
No, they haven't.
Square ball across the Town area. They've worked it from right to left. Davis in sunshine has it far side. Live on BBC Radio Suffolk and this afternoon on BBC Sounds as well. At Wolfenden now in shade on this near side of the pitch, the draw line between the two penalty spots. North of it, as we look down, is beautiful sunshine, but it's chillier for the likes of O'Shea and Philogene near side. O'Shea wanders into the middle third, upturn Ciso. Deft touch on, but away from Delap. Aina gives it back to Seltz. Seltz back to Aina at right back. Bypasses in Ciso with a long ball curling infield. Greaves gets the better of Wood. Bit of good fortune by Forest, given away though by them. Delap has it. Gibbs-White challenges Delap, wins the ball cleanly. The referee, Mr. Salisbury, in a good position. No complaints from Delap either. That was a chance for Town. Now here come Forest. Anderson to Hudson-Odoi, one-on-one with O'Shea inside the Ipswich Town area. Gets to the byline, plays it into the centre, right across the face of goal, out the far end to Dominguez. Dominguez back towards Aina. Aina crosses into the Ipswich area. Wood ducks underneath it under pressure. Clattered away by Kayuste. Town have got a man down, Philogene, inside their penalty box. Play continues. He's up on his feet. Bit of pressure being exerted by Nottingham Forest. Hudson-Odoi, a massive danger to Ipswich Town. Back the ball goes to Williams. Now with Anderson. That ball seemed to go square about an inch off of Alex Palmer's goal line a few minutes ago. Murillo, really cultured, easy on the eye defender. Williams overcooks that. Wasted pass for Gibbs-White. Goal kick, Palmer.
Yeah, no chance with that ball. That was really well over sort of cooked, that one, but that was a good challenge on Liam Delap, about sort of 25-30 yards from the Forest goal. So that was a good challenge, and then they went on a little bit of a break, and they looked very threatening, especially down this left-hand side.
Town playing it around at the back. Bit of noise being created inside Portman Road. This one's still 0-0. And so little between these two sides, right the way along from kick-off, really, that City Ground encounter back in November, all the way through the 120 minutes just a week past Monday ago. Maybe a fortnight this coming Monday since these two sides played each other. As Greaves lays the ball side-footed up towards Davis' far side. Back it goes to Jacob Greaves. 26 gone in this Premier League match. Wolves leading Southampton at Molineux. Not good news at all. Philogene down the line to Hutchinson. Philogene's done well. Murillo goes to ground. Anderson has to pick up the pieces. Just kept the ball in. Murillo finds Williams. Williams very right-footed, blocked off by Phillips. Anderson stands on the ball, gets the better of Philogene. Little drag back to Murillo. Murillo's let it go. Delap's away with the ball. Still work to be done. Delap's done brilliantly. Finds Hutchinson wide right, just outside the area. Chops back, gives it to Philogene inside the box. Back it goes to Hutchinson. Poor from Philogene. Anderson read it, and then plays it off Amari Hutchinson's backside for a goal kick.
Yeah, it's a bit unlucky. We could have done something there, but that was, you've got to give Forest credit. The challenge just outside the box was a good one. They are quite sort of feisty when they're making the challenges in the centre of midfield. They do it in a fair way, but they do really sort of mean, you know, they want to win that ball back. There's a determination about them.
Trying to keep their third successive clean sheet at Nottingham Forest in the Premier League, as Calvin Phillips comes across for a little bit of treatment of some sort. Trying to finish in the top three of the top division for the first time in exactly 30 years. 1995, the last time they finished third in the Premier League. As Phillips is causing a delay in play. The referee quite rightly telling him, having run across this near side, he stopped a yard on the pitch, and now is going to come off the pitch and have something dealt with. I think somebody stood on his right foot by the looks of things. There seemed to be a bit of blood on the top of his white sock. So Town for a minute down to 10 men. Calvin Phillips off the field. That's just been sprayed and dealt with. With Forest getting play back underway. I hope they'll be trying to capitalise on Town being a man light. Milenkovic to Gibbs-White, just in front of the back four at the moment. Up to the halfway line, he gives it to Williams. And Forest get the first goal of this Premier League match whilst playing against the 10 men of Ipswich Town. On the centre spot, Dominguez. He gives it to Anderson. They've been a relatively common pairing in midfield this season for Forest. Now with Murillo, number 5. Left-footed little ball forward. Wolfenden gets onto it, but gives it away to Elanga. Elanga can't do much with the ball under pressure from Wolfenden. Cleared by O'Shea. Great control from Hutchinson, who's having a good game. Runs it out just next to a TV camera down below us. Dominguez with a quick throw-in to Murillo. Very stocky player, Murillo. Doesn't look the tallest. Very broad, though. A square of shoulder. Number 5. The ball on the far side, just north of the centre circle with Aina. Gibbs-White, who pops up here, there and everywhere. He's back on the ball with number 10 on halfway, Gibbs-White. Elanga plays it back towards Gibbs-White. Infield, Dominguez for Forest. Phillips back on the field for Ipswich Town. So the scoreline even, and so too the number of players out there in red and blue. Murillo spots a little gap, threads it diagonally infield to Anderson. Now to the left-hand side, Hudson-Odoi. Quickly closed down by Philogene. Infield he goes, Hudson-Odoi. On the left-hand side, it's Anderson. Forest with the bulk, but all the possession really for the last 90 seconds, 2 minutes even. Milenkovic to Ola Aina. Down the line to Elanga, comes infield, gets the better of Davis, wants to take on Kiyuste, which he's done and beaten. It's gone square to Williams. Williams to the left-hand side, trying to get Hudson-Odoi one-on-one with Philogene, which they've managed to do. Hudson-Odoi might have overrun that. Yes, he has. I can see that with his first touch. He's always going to go behind.
Very heavy touch, and it was always didn't have a lot of room to sort of get round Philogene, and maybe it would have been better to have come inside. A lot more room there, and he could have done all sorts of things if he had come inside.
Full credit to Philogene. He's doing a good job for the side getting back this afternoon, having to be disciplined, having to help out Dara O'Shea. Not maybe naturally what his game's about, but it's all part of playing that role under Kieran McKenna, and he's certainly doing a job. O'Shea does need all the help he can get, whether it's Hudson-Odoi on his own or whether his mate Elanga joins in the attack. Here is Palmer in all yellow. Keeper kicks it long for Town, but Williams is underneath it, heads it away for Forest. Elliot Anderson then wins the ball above Hutchinson. Wood comes back, gets involved with Phillips. Anderson carries it down the line, the number 8, then tries to get it infield. Come off, Philogene has it. Yes, says the man with the flag down below us. Throw in to Nottingham Forest. Another tight game between these two sides. Seeing ahead of the game how many times Town have lost 1-0 this season, how many times Forest have won 1-0. I never thought this was going to be a goal fest. Hudson-Odoi to the left-hand side, can't get there though.
Strange decision.
Yeah, Philogene goes up, lands on his knees, foul challenge by Anderson.
Maybe it had come off a Forest player, but I didn't think it had. I thought it could have been allowed to sort of go off the pitch for a goal kick, but O'Shea decided to keep it in play.
0-0 here. Wolves leading at Southampton. So what's that? 8 points the difference, 9 with goal difference. Oh, goodness me. Palmer with a free kick at right back. 13 minutes to go for either of these sides to conjure up a first half goal. Delap's header goes infield to Milenkovic. Milenkovic up to Wood on the halfway line. Wood out to the right-hand side. Aina has got some open ground far side. Comes back in field though, held up by Enciso. Elanga, the black headband on, back to halfway. Dominguez. There is Aina, who got a piggyback from his manager in the aftermath of the penalty shootout win the other Monday. Some of the iconic pictures from those scenes afterwards. Long ball into the Ipswich area. Wood with a header, came from Dominguez. Well, they're spilled a little bit by Palmer, but no damage done. He's got it fully under control at the second attempt. But that was a good cross in, and that's what Wood's all about, the header.
That's the first real attempt at goal, really, of any sort of note. 1 or 2 shots from outside the box, that's about all. But it's been a good game, but there's just been a lack of sort of goal attempts, really.
Yeah, spot on. There has been, hasn't there? Here is Luke Wolfenden carrying the ball out of the penalty area off to our left. Wants an option. Kiyuste trying to offer himself up. Wolfenden couldn't thread the ball through to him. Greaves goes long downfield from left to right. Won by Milenkovic. Dummied by Aina. Dominguez down the line to Elanga. Then it's put forward down that far side. Aina's on a gallop. Palmer's the favourite to get there. Bangs it against his own man and goes out behind. And it's out of play behind for a corner kick. Corner kick to Nottingham Forest. We've got 11 minutes of this half to go. here on BBC Radio Suffolk. Still to see a goal between Ipswich Town and Nottingham Forest. It's going to be a corner kick which is taken on the far side of Portman Road. Alanga it is who's going to be taking this. Everybody in blue back, all 10 shirts inside Palmer's penalty area off to our left. Second corner of the game for Forest, and it comes from Alanga. Glancing header away by Greaves. Hudson-Odoi gets on the ball, clips it into the area towards Dominguez. He nods it centrally. Delap with a nod down, a chance and a goal! Banged into the back of the net ruthlessly from Milenkovic, the centre-half. His fourth of the season. Palmer did not have a chance, and 35 minutes gone at Portman Road. It's Ipswich Town 0, Nottingham Forest 1. That's a hammer blow of a goal. As they come back in dribs and drabs to celebrate, he really rattled that into the net. It was Delap's header. He was back doing his best. It was accidental, the way that he glanced it down just directly to a Forest player. Had to try and get his head on it, Liam Delap. That's no criticism, it's just the way that it panned out. And again, a little bit of misfortune for Ipswich Town in the manner of that goal. But as I kind of said there, he took no prisoners, Milenkovic, and finished like a seasoned number 9. That was a finish that Chris Wood would have been delighted with. So we did get a goal before half-time, and it's one that silenced, well, 3/4 at least of Portman Road. Joy amongst the Forest fans far side. Their side third in the Premier League table, and leading this game by a Milenkovic goal to 0 through to Nottingham Forest on the far side of the field in front of the cobbled stand. Well, it's the worst possible afternoon so far. Wolves ahead, Ipswich Town behind, and of course still no Mateus Cunha for Wolves, as Greaves heads the ball out far side for a throw-in. So let's see how Ipswich Town react to this latest setback. One or two recriminations then, heads dropped initially, which is only natural, but now they've got to get chins off chests and crack on. There is Aina. Yeah, that's 4 goals for him this season. Murillo's also chipped in, and Town just haven't got enough goals from centre-halves this season. From all around the team, there's been a massive reliance on Delap, and obviously to an extent Smodix and Hutchinson, but others haven't scored enough. Hutchinson loses the ball towards Anderson. Anderson to Alanga. Forest on the attack on the far side. Alanga cutting into the Ipswich Town area, trying to make it 2-0. He has. What a finish from Anthony Alanga. Ipswich Town cut to shreds down their left-hand side, and Forest have punished them. 2 goals in 2 minutes, and this one's running away from Ipswich Town before half-time. Ipswich Town 0, Nottingham Forest 2. Real quality from the side currently third in the Premier League table. And again, they are celebrating to a man, minus their goalkeeper over on the far corner of Portman Road. And some serious work for Ipswich Town to do in this next 8 minutes. And then, of course, the following 45. But, wow, devastating stuff from Nottingham Forest. And they've got that quality to be able to score goals like that. Mick Mills, 2 goals in the space of, 2 or 3 minutes. And it's tough now for Ipswich Town, isn't it, to put it mildly?
Very much so, but just prior to the goals, you just felt that they were starting to dominate possession. I mean, I know possession's not everything, but you know, they were getting control of the game, and that second goal, I mean, that's a wonderful run down their right-hand side, and it's a wonderful finish, it really is. But they were just getting it slightly on top, but that doesn't mean to say that you're going to go behind just because of that. But going to be difficult.
Oh, he's keen. Just seen a chap waving his t-shirt above his head in the Forest end, bare-chested. It's not the afternoon for that. O'Shea forward towards Hutchinson. His touch is out of play, shoves Nico Williams in the back, and it's nothing other than a throw in there to Nottingham Forest. That was clinical from Anthony Alanga. Very, very impressive. And Ipswich Town now behind yet again. Ipswich Town, barring an absolute miracle, are going to get to April with 1 home win. As I keep saying, you just can't stay up. if you get to April with one home win. It can't be done unless you've got something ridiculous going on away from home. Getting harder and harder to see. We've just got to hope for a miraculous turnaround here and some joy from St Mary's as well, but it's been a thoroughly miserable 39 minutes in terms of scorelines, not performances, not at all from Ipswich Town, but
no, we've played all right, to be perfectly honest, and it's a typical thing that's been happening this year. You know, we've been in games, we've been doing okay, but then we don't seem to go through with it.
And Cisse on halfway, giving it away. Poor from him. He's not been that great so far this afternoon. Here is Anderson. The best of Town's attacking options have certainly been Hutchinson in this first half. 39.5 minutes gone, but that was really impressive from Forest's perspective. That was a team in the upper echelons of the Premier League. Murillo up towards O'Shea. Cayuste, he's been so quiet for a while. The last 20 minutes I barely mentioned him. Referee's blowing his whistle for a shirt tug on Cayuste before the ball reached Philogene. Cayuste takes the free quick. Oh, missed by Phillips. Phillips just gets it back to Wood. To Wolfenden as Wood closed him down. Davis infield towards Phillips, who's made himself available on the far side. He turns it back into Wolfenden. 2-0 Forest lead if you disappeared off for 5 minutes or so. That is correct. 2 quick-fire goals, and Cisse, that's good for him, much better. Takes on 2 players and beats them. Handball from Hudson-Odoi, wasn't it? It's gone back towards the goalkeeper, Seltz.
Well, I would have said so from here, but, you know, he's got his back to us, and the referee is actually on the best side to get a view of it, but it did look like a handball, that's for sure.
He must have got it right, because nobody complained in blue. It must have been on his inner thigh or somewhere near where his hand was as he ran back, Hudson-Odoi. It blatant at first, but he was in a good position, the referee. Here is Milankovic to the edge of his area. First time either of these sides, of course, has had more than a solitary goal lead this season. Oh, mistake from Wolfenden, and Alanga in behind to make it 3. He does. It's all over by half-time. An almighty clanger from Luke Wolfenden. He and Alex Palmer having words with one another. But Alanga has made hay whilst the sun has shone in these last few minutes. But there's a big dark cloud over Ipswich Town now and their Premier League future. An unbelievable scoreline after 41 minutes, considering it was 0-0 after half an hour. Ipswich Town 0, Nottingham Forest 3. The wait for this 4th win of the season goes on and on and on.
Well, this should never happen. It's just an ordinary ball, and I mean an ordinary ball, dead from the back right through the centre of the pitch. It's got no pace on it. We've got 3 blue shirts close to where the ball is coming down out of the sky, almost as if the Forest players momentarily froze on it, thought it ain't going to be our ball, and then when it comes down, the 3 players that are in that vicinity, not one of them deals with it, drops to the ground, and Alanga seizes upon it and puts it in the back of the net. Crazy goal.
Crazy. What, 7 minutes? Wolfenden closed down by Wood. Alanga, of course, on a hat-trick. Palmer gets the ball away, left-footed, long downfield. We're not going to be hearing about fine margins off the back of this one, the way it is at the moment. 2.5 minutes to go until half-time. Wow, I'd never have seen this scoreline coming, after 34 minutes at 0-0.
No, for a long time I was enjoying the game, enjoying the half of football. You know, I thought both teams were very close, both are sort of playing pretty good football, and now, you know, goodness knows.
It just shows that they're a top team, and that's the way. I mean, Town, yes, they've been architects of their own downfall. Here is Aina. Please don't let it get worse before half-time. Alanga to Gibbs-White out to the left-hand side, just too much on that ball. Because if this was happening against Liverpool, Manchester City or Arsenal, we would be saying that's what can happen against a top team. Blink and all of a sudden it goes from 0-0 to 1-0 to 2 to 3. So you have to put Forest in that bracket with those sides. They're above lots of good teams in the Premier League table. Chelsea, Manchester City, Manchester United, Tottenham all in their wake this season. They're 3rd for a reason. They begin a helping hand there, though, and Cisse loses the ball to Milankovic. He gets it back again. There is Anderson. Weaves between a couple of challenges from his left foot to his right and back again. Hudson-Odoi. He's not really been involved in any of the goals so far. He'll be desperate for that to change. His mate Alanga's got 2 of them now. Out for a throw. Well, I certainly didn't see this being 3-0 at half-time at any stage, really.
Absolutely not. I mean, it was a good game. There's no question about it. And we were doing very, very well. And then there was just, there was a suggestion that they were starting to control the game, but that's all. Nothing else, just starting to control the game. And then all of a sudden they've got themselves into a 3-0 lead.
Crowd starting to get a bit aggravated. Wolfenden on the ball to the halfway line, and Greaves. Far side is Encisa. What a test of Ipswich Town's character this is. Encisa down the line towards Davis. Just going to hope that Flynn Downs and co can do Ipswich Town a massive favour now. You're going down with the Leicester is the chant from the Nottingham Forest fans. Back to Wolfenden. Does look increasingly likely that both of them are going to be playing championship football next season. There is Hutchinson in towards Phillips. Back to Hutchinson. Town have just got to believe they can get a goal before half-time, and then who knows. Out to the left-hand side, Kayuste finds Davis outside the Forest area on the left corner of infield to Enciso. Back to goal, tries to spin Gibbs-White, gives it to Phillips, set up nicely. Oh, that was a great effort from him, but always rising and just went over the bar.
Yeah, that was a good effort. We managed to sort of work it down to the left-hand side. Leif Davis had to come inside. He couldn't sort of exercise the overlap which Kayuste had made on him. But we came inside and the ball was set up nicely for Kelvin Phillips, and his strike was a good one. It was powerful, it had good direction, just raised up over the crossbar just at the end, so that was a good effort.
Jack Taylor's been sent down the tunnel early. I wonder if that's an indication of change at half-time. Perhaps he might be on the exercise bike for 10 minutes to get himself fully limbered up. Maybe doesn't mean anything. Murillo, though, what does mean something is that scoreboard off to our left. 0 next to the Town badge, 3 next to that of Nottingham Forest. Enciso got a minute for Town to get a first half goal, give themselves a lifeline. In the sunshine far side, Davis carries the ball, then is held up by Dominguez. Infield towards Kayuste, his touch is too heavy, comes back as far as Delap. Now the referee's blown his whistle. Is that maybe a handball from Kayuste? Certainly wasn't an offside. Anyway, it's a Nottingham Forest free kick inside their penalty area. They're back to head down the tunnel with a very, very healthy half-time lead on BBC Radio Suffolk and BBC Sounds.
It's an amazing lead, it really is. There's not many times anybody can sort of say they've played a game where they're 3-0 in front at half-time. It is a wonderful situation for Forest to be in.
Well, they've been battered by Liverpool, Manchester City and now Forest this season. Ipswich Town still got to face Arsenal here in a few Sundays' time. Up goes Delap, dealt with by Murillo, illegally dealt with by Murillo. Free kick inside the Forest half of the field to Ipswich Town, although Phillips is trying to take it 10 yards further forward than where Mr Salisbury wants. He's going to have to drag the ball back, and can argue all he likes Calvin Phillips. The referee's going to tell him where the ball needs to be. This is the final chance for Ipswich Town to get a goal on the board in this first half. Phillips knocks it up to the edge of the Forest area, out to the far side. There's a shove in the back of Chris Wood by Dara O'Shea. 1 or 2 boos. That's the half-time whistle has just gone. Well, remarkable to think after 34 minutes, 0-0, very, very little in that game, but now after 47 in total, McMill's one side completely on top.
Yeah, it was an incredible collapse, it really was, because that was certainly for 25 minutes, you're thinking, even 30 minutes, you're thinking this is a good game of football, just lacks a little bit of penalty area sort of action. Neither goalkeeper was really having anything to do, but the football was good. Both teams looked very, very competent. I thought, you mentioned it, that Forest were playing a strange sort of system where their 2 wide attackers were ending up on the same side, for much of the half, and that seemed a bit strange to me. But I just felt that there was that sort of suggestion. They were starting to dominate the exchanges, they were dominating the possession, and sometimes it doesn't lead to anything, but it did this time. It's led to an opening goal, then a quick fire second, and then there's been a big mistake by the town's centre-backs, if you like, people down through the middle. We could have dealt with that long clearance really easily if there was just a little bit of talking going on out there. So, we've gone from a good position, 0-0, decent performance, where that, if we'd taken that to half-time, you'd have said, oh, that's okay, regroup, have a well-earned rest and let's go for it, when we're attacking the north stand, but that was completely taken away from us. So just, two areas for me are just, wonder. I mean, I'm trying to dissect it now. I think definitely we have always been a bit short in the centre of midfield. That's why we haven't seen Cajuste and Phillips very much. Okay, we've got Amari Hutchinson who's playing as a 10, and Ciso is trying to come in a little bit, but it's only little bits. And in there, Forest have got Dominguez Anderson and Gibbs White, who are very feisty.
Do you think Taylor's coming on? Do you think the Jack Taylor?
Yeah, I do. I think we'll try and alter our midfield somewhat, because those three in there are feisty players. They're committed players and they're dominating that area. So that, for me, is where we have sort of probably not got it quite right in the first half. But the other one is where we couldn't name our three attacking players behind Delap, and in the end we got it woefully wrong. Okay, Amari Hutchinson has been elected to play 10, has done well. So we've got to go with the manager on that one. But what it has done is moved Enciso into a position that we know he's not going to do anything in, and he hasn't done anything in. So, you've got to give everybody a crack of the whip, if you like. Play all three in their best positions, not just go for appeasing one of them, and I do feel the manager's got this obsession of playing Amari Hutchinson as a 10, and he's worked now all season at trying to make it work, and I'm not sure if it's the answer for us. So, midfield problem.
Any chance of a comeback in this game? Can you?
Well, it's got to be quick, Ray. It's got to be quick. If you're 3-0 down, the clock is the worst thing that you have. When that starts ticking down, it's not nearing half-time, it's nearing the end of the game. So if you don't do it quickly, you probably haven't got any chance at all, so that you really have to get one on the board by 60 minutes to have any chance.
Yeah, sadly, I fear the writing is on the wall, and Ipswich Town's lengthy wait for that first win of 2025 is going to go on beyond the final international break of the season. Sadly, that's because they're 3-0 down at home to Forest at half-time.
Well, like John Walk last night, Brenner, I'd take a draw. I don't know what you do in Slayton.
Yeah, I agree with Walkie now. I would certainly take a draw.
Yeah, Walkie's a genius.
A genious, disappointing.
Absolute genius, Walkie.
He knew what he was on about. Sadly, we'll be back. Well, sadly, by the sounds of it, let's hope for a comeback. But we will be back with Mick Mills and Brenner Woolley for the second half on both BBC Radio Suffolk and BBC Sounds with Town, trailing Nottingham Forest by 3-0. Incredible, having been goalless right up until the 35th minute. Elsewhere in the Premier League this afternoon, Manchester City 2, Brighton 1 at half-time. City ahead through an Erling Haaland penalty. The Seagulls hit back, but Omar Mamouche restoring Pep Guardiola's side's lead at the Etihad Stadium. Everton have had a penalty ruled out through VAR. They are goalless with West Ham at Goodison Park. But the other game of note, as far as Ipswich Town are concerned, is at St Mary's this afternoon, and it's Wolves who lead 1-0 away at Southampton at half-time. Jorgen Strand-Larsen on target in that one. So looking at the Premier League table now, the gap from Ipswich Town 18th in the table to Wolves 4th bottom is 9 points. As things stand in the Championship today, a couple of results. Stoke beaten 1-0 at Millwall. The leaders Leeds held to a 2-2 draw away at QPR. In League One, Cambridge 0, Peterborough 1, a full-time score from the lunchtime kick-off. And in League Two this afternoon, Colchester United are in action at home to Fleetwood. It is goalless at half-time. We'll paint you a picture of the current state of play around the grounds locally when we return in just a moment, and we'll get some live half-time reports from both Lowestoft Town and Bury Town.
Make a difference. when someone has given so much.
If you can do something for someone else, it's worth it.
It's great to give something back.
Thank you for that recognition.
Celebrate the incredible volunteers, the great neighbours and the outstanding fundraisers by nominating them for a BBC Make a Difference award.
I was able to help lots of people.
Go to bbc.co.uk/make a difference, where you can see a full list of categories, our full terms and our privacy notice.
Nominations are open now and close on the 31st of March at 5 p.m.
BBC Radio Suffolk. Make a difference.
With match day, Ipswich Town trailing 3-0 at home to Nottingham Forest. Half-time at Portman Road. Back with Brennan Woolley and Mick Mills in a few minutes' time for the second half. Around the grounds locally in the National League North, Needham Market have a relegation battle of their own. They're trailing 1-0 at home to Chorley. Likewise, AFC Sudbury 1 down away at AFC Telford United. Playoff chasing Leiston having a tough afternoon so far. They're 2-0 down at home to Barwell. Let's go to Lowestoft Town. Gary Button watching the Trawler Boys in action at home to Kettering.
Half-time, Lowestoft Town 0, Kettering Town 0. Goalless at the interval in an intriguing encounter between two sides at opposite ends of the table. Limited chances generally, but the visitors have had the majority of the play, although Lowestoft have played very well defensively, looking pretty solid at the back. Sam Johnson for the Trawler Boys tested the Kettering keeper Dan Jessup in the 10th minute, who parried the ball away, the 18-yard shot heading goalwards. A dangerous centre from Kettering's Kay Fifield almost found the big front man Jonathan Edwards, with defender Travis Cole getting a vital headed clearance just in time. Busy around the Lowestoft area, McClintock, Wilkinson and Edwards are constantly causing problems, but the Trawler Boys are getting the odd chance. Sam Johnson with a daisy cutter effort at Jessup, while Louis McIntosh let fly from 20 yards 5 minutes before the break, but that just cleared the upright. The visitors' Fifield toe poked wide just before that chance, the ball trickling wide of Ben Self's right hand post, and then Fifield again, who skied over when running through on goal. A great chance for the visitors right on half-time. It's Lowestoft 0, Kettering Town 0.
Thanks, Gary. Into the Isthmian North Division at Newmarket Town away at the leaders Brentwood Town. It's 0-0 at half-time. Second in the table, Felixstowe Walton United are goalless away at Waltham Abbey. I believe third in the table, Bury Town are goalless at home to Tilbury, Nick Garnham.
Yes, it's Bury Town 0, Tilbury 0. And we're still awaiting the opening goal here in a match that's been low on both quality and goalmouth action between these two promotion-chasing sides. Both teams have struggled to come to terms with the windy conditions and hard pitch, which has made it difficult to get the ball down and play. Only a fine fingertip save by Charlie Beckwith prevented Bury from falling behind after just 3 minutes, the keeper denying Alex Hernandez an angled drive. Neither keeper was called into action again until the half-hour mark, when Beckwith comfortably dealt with a Kieran Jones shot above his head. Bury had to wait until the 38th minute to register a shot at goal, Taylor Power sweeping a low effort beyond the far post after Max Morn had laid the ball into his path. Morn then dribbled his way to the byline, but his cross was cut out by visiting keeper Tom Middlehurst before Ed Upson did test him with an effort straight into his midriff just before the break. Half-time at the Getaway Cars Stadium, Bury Town 0, Tilbury 0.
Thank you, Nick. Elsewhere in the Isthmian North, goals for Mildenhall Town away at Heybridge Swifts. The Hall lead 3-0. Couple from Jared Robson. Thomas Thulburn also on target. And bottom of the table, Ipswich Wanderers are 1-1 with Malden and Tiptree. Max Tate with an equaliser for Wanderers at Humber Ducey Lane. I mentioned earlier in the programme, Haverhill Rovers can win the Thurlow Nunn First Division North title this afternoon with 5 games to spare. They need to win, and for second in the table, Stanway Pegasus to lose. I can tell you that Pegasus are 1-0 up away at Wivenhoe, and Haverhill Rovers very much on target for a 16th consecutive win. They lead Holland FC by 3-0 at half-time. Let's talk Rugby Six Nations for a moment or so. The first of today's deciding matches well and truly underway in Rome. It's Ireland who are just edging Italy as things stand by 22 points to 17. Next up, England in Wales, and the England head coach Steve Borthwick has been singing singing the praises of George Ford ahead of his 99th international cap. England can, of course, win the Six Nations today if they beat Wales with the bonus point in Cardiff, and France fail to beat Scotland.
This is a team that's been evolving. Clearly, I have selected a lot of players that are early in their test careers, they're early in their playing careers, and George, whilst desperate to play for England and disappointed that selection's not gone his way, he has trained brilliantly. He's been a fantastic role model and an incredible leader within the squad, and it's a privilege to have him with us.
Wales v England from 4:45. The Scotland head coach Gregor Townsend, so it doesn't get any more difficult than travelling to Paris to take on France in the Six Nations. That's what his team will do this evening, as the Scots will aim to upset top of the table France at the Stade de France in the final round of the competition.
It's probably the biggest challenge right now in world rugby. I think when you put all the factors together, the French team at home are always a huge challenge. The way they're playing, even in their defeat, they scored a lot of points and could have scored a number more at Twickenham.
In tennis, Jack Draper has a tough challenge as he bids to reach his first Masters 1000 final. He's up against world number 3 Carlos Alcaraz in the semi-finals at Indian Wells this evening. Before that, Norfolk's Olivia Nichols will be trying to win her first WTA 1000 title in the doubles final. Before we go back to Portman Road, let's talk Formula 1. Qualifying for the season-opening Australian Grand Prix with the big race in the early hours tomorrow. Rain expected for it as well. It'll be a McLaren 1-2 on the front row of the grid. Britain's Lando Norris on pole, ahead of his teammate Oscar Piastri. World champion Max Verstappen third for Red Bull. Lewis Hamilton will start from 8th in his first race for Ferrari. We'll hear from him in a moment. But first, Norris, who says he couldn't have asked for a better start to the new campaign.
I mean, we were expecting to be up there. I think I'd be lying if I said we weren't expecting to be towards the top. But we probably expected a little bit more of a challenge from Ferrari. I think everyone did, not just us. Ferrari have been just as quick as us the whole weekend, but definitely when we kind of gone, taking that last bit of fuel out in quali, and when you just have to push 5% extra, it definitely seemed to come our way a bit. We had a nice little gap to the rest of the cars behind us, so it's a good thing. It shows the car's working very well. It's still very tricky and a bit nervous and a bit on edge, but
Lando Norris ahead of the Australian Grand Prix tomorrow. Like we say, he'll start on pole position from his McLaren teammate Oscar Piastri. We did hear from Lewis Hamilton early in the programme. Through time, we'll bring you him again during the final hour of match day. He'll start from 8th in his first race for Ferrari. Must we go back to Portman Road? We will do on both BBC Radio Suffolk and BBC Sound. Second half about to get underway. We're hoping for a miracle. Town are trailing 3-0, Brenner Williams.
Yeah, and Town have been out a good couple of minutes earlier than Nottingham Forest. In fact, Forest only just now coming out of the tunnel off to our right-hand side. Interesting half-time change for Town. Won't change the system or anything. Cameron Burgess coming on for Jacob Greaves. So a like-for-like switch. The Australian, who of course has played plenty of football this season, been reunited with Luke Wolfond. We'll find out the reasons for that when we hear from Kieran McKenna, the Ipswich Town manager, post-match. He's already out as well, sitting down, ready to go. No sign of Nuno Espirito Santo, just on the drag behind his players off to our right-hand side. So Town in blue, white, blue, playing from right to left in this second half, trying to get a foothold back in this game as soon as possible, obviously. We'll have Palmer in goal, the back four, Vaucher the captain, Wolfenden, now Burgess and Davis, then it's Phillips and Cayuste, Philogene, Hutchinson and Ciso, and then Delap up top. On the bench, Walton, Morsey, Clark, Hurst, Broadhead, Taylor, Johnson and Townsend. No great surprise that Forest, having a quick squint around at the 10 men in red, are as they were at kick-off. Seltz is their goalkeeper off to our left. His back four, Aina, Milenkovic with a goal, Murillo and Williams. Then the two of Dominguez and Anderson. The three of Alanga looking for his hat-trick. He got 2 in the first half. Morgan, Gibbs-White and Hudson-Odoi. And then Chris Wood leading the line. On the bench, Hennessy, Morato, Sangaro, Awani, Moreno, Silva, Yates, Danilo and Bolly. So Town in their blue shirts with the white pinstripes, getting ready to get this second half underway. The referee, Michael Salisbury, just doing final checks. He's in all black. Forest in all red, defending the end off to our left-hand side. Just got to hope, keep our fingers crossed, and you never know what it is. A tall order. There were a couple of big price winners at Cheltenham this week. The odds on Ipswich Town getting a win now, or getting something from this game, are probably equally high. As O'Shea along the deck to Hutchinson far right, operating at the moment on the right-hand side. Overlapping is Enciso outside the Forest area. A little drag back from the Paraguayan, trying to find room for a cross. Comes off the knees, and Murillo kind of won a very early corner kick at the start of this second half.
Yeah, and that's Omari Hutchinson down the right-hand side. I think Enciso's come into the middle, and I think Philogene is going down the left-hand side.
Kieran McKenna has listened to you, I think.
Yeah, he's got a direct line to me, I think.
He clearly has. He's put them in exactly the positions you wanted to see them by the looks of things. Leif Davis in sunshine, far left corner. In comes this corner kick. It's a really good one, patted down by Sells. Needs some help from Gibbs White to get it away.
Corner.
And as far as Hutchinson, good from him. Then he shoots. It's on target. That's Town's first effort on target in this game. 5 shots in the first half. None of them troubling Sells, but he had to stop that one after, like Mick says, that was a really good corner kick initially.
Yeah, right underneath the crossbar. Really puts pressure on the goalkeeper. He's really done quite well, but where he's knocked it down to, the goalkeeper, that could have been a Town player stood there.
Wood with a header on, trying to find Elanga in field. It is absolutely fascinating that Kieran McKenna has done that. Hutchinson on the right, Enciso in the middle, and Philogene playing down the left-hand side. 2 minutes gone in this second half. Aina, 3-0 Forest lead. Back the ball goes to Milenkovic, who started the ball rolling with those first of those 3 goals inside 6 minutes, just past the hour mark. Past the half-hour mark in that first half. Flags up here against Forest, and it's a free kick for Ipswich Town. Full match commentary on BBC Radio Suffolk and BBC Sounds this afternoon. Town return to action 2 weeks on Wednesday with a daunting-looking trip to Bournemouth. Their next home game is the small matter of Wolverhampton Wanderers here 3 weeks today. And they've got that run of Chelsea away, Arsenal at home, Newcastle away. Some really, really tough-looking fixtures there. Palmer.
Be interesting to see how Cameron Burgess does, because he always does well without having many minutes behind him. You know, he's an incredible player.
Here he is here. Such a good servant to Ipswich Town, Burgess. Burgess looking forward towards Philogene, hits the number 29 on his back. Aina comes away with the ball, not for long. He went down on one knee, spun, loses it. Philogene trying to work some magic. Dominguez shoves him to the ground, and it's a free kick, well spotted by the referee. Definite shove, double hand on the back of Philogene, and Town have a free kick in a promising position a few yards back from the corner.
Yeah, I think that was fair enough, that decision.
Well, the news gets even worse from the south coast. Southampton 0, Wolves 2 in that game. So Wolves going to be taking something from that match at the moment. Town taking nothing from this one. Gap looks set to widen. Unless Town can make something of this, they've got to score very, very soon in this game. If they can. Goals have been hard to come by for a while for Town. Enciso on this free kick at 3-0, and it fizzes. Good ball. Out it goes as far as Philogene. Forrest stood strong. He spreads it square to the right-hand side, and Hutchinson up against Williams. Gives it back to Phillips, the deepest lying outfield player. Phillips jabs the ball in the air out to the left, and Enciso brings it down on his right instep. Gives it back to Davis. Davis controls it, closed down by Elanga. Up behind for a corner kick to Ipswich. They're on their second one in the early stages of this half.
Yeah, we've had plenty of possession in the attacking half, so this is a decent start. We've had 2 corner kicks now, a free kick, so, you know, we just need to make one of them pay.
And if you get to 3-1 at this stage, you never know. Corner kick to Ipswich Town. Leif Davis on it in front of the Sir Bobby Robson stand. Town trying to get a lifeline towards the far post. Headed towards goal and wide from Delap. He's got to score from that. That was a really great opportunity, and it has to be said, a terrible header in the end.
Oh, was it? It was a great corner, unusual corner, real outswinger. Delap's in acres. I mean, acres of space. Nobody challenges him whatsoever. What was the near post to the corner kick was well available. It was the far post for Liam Delap. He should have placed the ball in that corner because there was nobody patrolling that area at all.
It's hard to be harsh on Liam Delap over all the debut season he's had. It's been incredible. Where would Ipswich Town be without him? They'd have been down long ago, but that was a great chance for number 11 this season. Should have taken it. I think he's yet to score a headed goal for Ipswich Town. Ball's out far side for a throw-in to the Blues, and that little strip of sunshine far side. Forest fans bathed in it in the Cobbold stand, but the majority of the pitch, 90% of it now, is in shade. 3-0, still the scoreline in the 6th minute of the second half, live on BBC Radio Suffolk and BBC Sounds. When I get a break and play, I'll let you know how to get in touch with us post-match. Your thoughts always welcome. Murillo at the back for Forest. Guides the ball out to the left back area. Still have it there because it's gone back for Forest. Eventually Williams wraps his right foot around the ball and clears it. Only onto the head of O'Shea. Nodded down. O'Shea wins it before Hudson-Odoi, and then volleyed by Milenkovic off the edge of his area. Headed up by Cameron Burgess for Leif Davis. Has to make a decision. Does the right thing. Turns it forward towards Enciso. Aina gets his header on it first. Milenkovic to halfway. Little quality in this passage of play, it has to be said. Till Kiyuste does well. He brings it down on the halfway line. Excellent play from him. Out to the right, as he asked too much of Hutchinson. Yes, he has. The phone number to call afterwards and chat to Graham and Mick is 0800 141 2121 or text 81333. So those messages SFK. WhatsApp 08000 321 333 again. Start those SFK, and if you want to get in touch with me on the Blue Hour on Monday between 6 and 7, email brenner at bbc.co.uk. Look forward to chatting to you from 6 o'clock on Monday night. Throw in to Ipswich Town. Thankfully Forest yet to get going in this second half. They will have expected this reaction from Town, who are out on the pitch a good 3 minutes ahead of the visitors, ready for the start of this second half. O'Shea with a nod far side, then wellied up into the clouds by Gibbs-White, headed away by Burgess, only as far as Wood to the left-hand side. Hudson-Odoi cutting in field, still Hudson-Odoi inside the Ipswich Town area, flanked by O'Shea, who has a little nibble at him. Hudson-Odoi keeps his feet under the Forest supporters. Back to Williams, who lets the ball roll past him. Then Murillo will bring Seltz into play. Possession, incidentally, that first half was 49%, 51% in Forest's favour. They had 7 shots, 4 of them on target, 5 from Town, 0, so not the gulf the actual scoreline would have suggested there. But some clinical finishing from Forest and some less than impressive defending, shall we say, from Ipswich Town. Opened the door wide open and Forest went right through it in a hurry. Here is Wolfenden at centre-half for Ipswich Town. To the left-hand side, Burgess. Burgess infield to Kiyuste. Good spot by the Australian. Kiyuste, little touch, then gives it to Calvin Phillips right in the centre of Portman Road. He goes square to Burgess near side. Down the line is Davis. Burgess elects not to use him. Instead he goes infield towards Luke Wolfenden. Back it goes to Burgess in midfield. Plenty Forest players behind the ball, and Enciso turns away from Anderson. Good play from him, but then he loses the ball to Dominguez. Up to halfway and Alanga. In goes Phillips. Alanga goes down. Free kick for the challenge by Phillips. A yellow card from the referee, who's yet to dish one out in this game.
He was unlucky there, Phillips. That was a good attempt to sort of just hook his foot round the ball. No. Doesn't deserve that at all. He was only fractions off of what he intended to do. Nothing serious. Nobody was going anywhere. Crazy refereeing.
Yeah, that was poor from Mr. Salisbury. It's his 5th of the season for Phillips. Murillo with this long-range free kick for Nottingham Forest. Still 3 goals up against Ipswich Town. Very little in terms of quality so far in this second half. As Mick was saying at half-time, it's the clock that's also beating Ipswich Town. Murillo, left-footed forward to the edge of the Ipswich area. Up goes Dominguez, quite efficient in midfield, the Argentinian. There is Hutchinson going back to O'Shea. O'Shea launches the ball long towards Williams on the far side. He brings it down, then hooks it forward. O'Shea nods it in field, poorly to Alanga, then to Anderson. Anderson to the box to Dominguez. Dominguez into the centre. Wood! Saved by Palmer. And then he gets it back off Leif Davis. Oh, who got a touch? Could have been deemed as a back pass. That was almost another awful goal chance given away by Ipswich Town in the end.
Well, it looked as if Leif Davis had everything under control there. He knew exactly what he was going to do. Wanted the goalkeeper to come and pick it up, and then right at the last split second he touched the ball, Leif Davis, which then is going to make it a back pass inside the 6-yard box.
That was a right clanger on the far side, running forward as Hutchinson, well dealt with by Williams. He's a good player. Anderson up against Enciso, gets the ball back to Murillo. Good change of direction from the big man. Murillo's now running the ball down that far touchline, pretty much on the line, the ball. Eventually it crosses it. He had the last touch out for a throw, and as that Jack Clark goes for a jog on this near side, so too George Hurst.
Yeah, we've now had sort of 10 minutes of the half. The first 6 minutes I thought, yeah, we're doing okay. We've got territorially, it's all in the Forest half. That's where we wanted the game to be. We were winning corner kicks, free kicks. We had a little attempt from Delap, which should have been a goal, and you're thinking, good start. And then all of a sudden, you've moved 2 or 3 minutes further on, and Forest are actually now coming out on top of the game.
Chris Wood towards Alanga, just outside the Ipswich penalty area. A little back heel didn't work out, but he's got the ball back to Anderson on the left corner of the Ipswich area. Coming in field, Anderson gives it back to Gibbs-White. Now Hudson-Odoi's chance to torment Ipswich. On the left-hand side, Alanga. In comes his cross towards Wood, headed away by Burgess. Typical defending from the Australian. Terrible clearance from Phillips. Forest can keep up the pressure. Should have done better. Back as far as Gibbs-White. Little disguised ball into the area towards Alanga, but it's towards Palmer as well, thankfully. Marginally closer to the keeper than the player on a hat-trick. Delap gets to halfway, leaves Gibbs-White in his wake. Infield towards Enciso. Anderson there covers the ground well. The loose ball goes to the right. Hutchinson, Ipswich Town on the attack now. 3-0 behind as they are. Hutchinson with a chance to cross. Comes off the Forest defender. Town have got another corner in the second half.
Yeah, well done the goalkeeper first of all. He seized upon that sort of terrific little pass that was played inside into our penalty box. He did well. The counter-attack was a good one. Liam Delap led it. And then we've sensibly sort of decided, rather than get the ball in as a half-hearted cross, we'll win a corner kick, and now we can get the big boys up. So we've got ourselves a corner kick again.
Yates, I think, is about to come on for Forest. They're certainly making a first change. Leif Davis, shielding his eyes from the sunshine, takes this corner kick. In it comes, headed away on the near post by Milenkovic. And that's come off a blue shirt, has it yet? Seemed to. It's a goal kick to Nottingham Forest. 2.5 minutes shy of the hour mark on BBC Radio Suffolk and BBC Sounds.
Yeah, I think, and because of the last couple of minutes that sort of Forest have started to dominate and look dangerous again, I think that's why all of a sudden you're getting more Town players warming up, because the manager must be thinking it's got to happen quickly, and he's right to think that.
Town heading into the final international break of the season off the back of a defeat as things stand. Kieran McKenna talking yesterday, there's a chance that Connor Chaplin could feature after the international break. Still haven't seen him at all this calendar year. Former Portsmouth player. Long ball forward, glancing header from Wolfenden under pressure. Illegal pressure from Wood, almost set Alanga in on goal. Phillips gives the ball to Davis on this left-hand side. Davis, poor ball looking for Philogene, beaten by Aina, who just wanted the ball more than Philogene. It's a free kick. I can't believe that should have been a free kick. Aina seemed to win the ball cleanly against Philogene, who thought he had more time than he had. Free kick's given Ipswich Town's way. Phillips whinging to the referee about something or other. Play continues with Hutchinson. First time ball in field, dealt with by Milenkovic. No nonsense from him, just spooned the ball up and into the Ipswich Town half of the field. Remember, Wolves leading, Ipswich losing. Black Saturday here, sadly. On this left-hand side, it's with Leif Davis. Davis looked infield, eventually finds Delap through a little gap. That's good play by the fullback. Delap now picking up a head of steam. Philogene, edge of the Forest area, coming in field. Still Jaden Philogene, loses the ball to Gibbs-White. Flag's gone up against Ipswich Town.
Well, if there was any understanding at all between Philogene and Leif Davis, then that should have been Leif Davis receiving a pass from Philogene, taking him into the Forest penalty area. That's a wonderful overlap, it really was, and he's totally ignored it. Totally ignored it.
And now we're gone on BBC Radio Suffolk. Ipswich Town 0, Nottingham Forest 3. Celts hoping to keep yet another clean sheet this season. Forest's third in a row in the Premier League. Celts, right-footed down this near side, the Forest right. Alanga rises, comes off the top of Leif Davis's head, battered in field by the left boot of Burgess, headed on by Hutchinson. Hudson-Odoi closed down in Ciso. Dara O'Shea up to the centre spot. Murillo gets the better of Delap, then wants to take on Kiyuste. Murillo still on the ball. Tried to bite off more than he could chew there. Kiyuste's come away with the ball superbly. Well done. Then through the legs of Gibbs-White finds Hutchinson. Excellent by the Swede. Hutchinson, edge of the area, knocks the ball into the box, looking for Philogene. Headed away by Aina. Only as far as Davis. Davis loops it back into the middle, headed down by Murillo, and away it goes for Forest. Phillips is on the ball. He controls it on the stretch for O'Shea. Hutchinson on the right in the left back area outside the Forest box, shaped across, has held on to it. A step over from him, he still has it, gives it back to O'Shea, the captain, rolls it to the edge of the area. Phillips now on the right hand side. Hutchinson eventually left-footed, curls across in, headed away by Aina. Wood's going to try and hold off Burgess. He's managed to do that well, has Wood. Infield to Dominguez, he gives it to Alanga. Now Forest on the attack. Alanga flying down the right hand side. Davis comes back, holds him up. Alanga's held on to the ball and then just pokes it out under pressure. Off an Ipswich Town player, which I didn't see, nor did Burgess or Davis. It's a Forest throw-in.
That's good recovery play by Town. Kajus did some excellent work just now in the centre of midfield and got us an attack going down the right-hand side. Amari Hutchinson at the moment doesn't seem to have the beating of Williams.
No, he hasn't so far. First Premier League meeting here between these two sides for over 30 years. It was a Brian Roy goal that settled the last one in November '94. Murillo wasted, but often got his head on the ball downfield. If he'd let it go, it would have gone through to Palmer, but he wasn't to know that, so fair enough. Better to consider things safety first rather than taking a chance. Murillo closed down by Delap. That's a battle which is heating up. Murillo finds Hudson-Odoi, infield to Gibbs-White. Gibbs-White into the area, trying to find Alanga. Well cut out by Davis. Davis along the floor to Enciso. Turns and faces halfway and fires the ball out to the right. Well played by Enciso. Hutchinson under pressure from Murillo. Gets the better of him, but the ball goes out of play for a throw-in to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, unlucky there. Leif Davis did exceptionally well to see a pass on the inside to Enciso. He did well to see a pass to Amari Hutchinson, and then unfortunately Amari's run it into touch.
Ipswich have the ball on this left with Davis. Still 3-0 Nottingham Forest. No goals since that quick fire treble after the half-hour mark in this Premier League game. Forest staying third, Town staying third from bottom, albeit with a bigger gap between themselves and safety. Kiyuste on a run, brought down by Dominguez, who's ended up hurting himself, or maybe Kiyuste's caught his Achilles. Certainly a free kick to Ipswich Town. It's Dominguez who committed the foul, but has come off the worse.
He's actually come into a good spell, Kajus.
He has, hasn't he?
Yeah, he hasn't done anything wrong at all there. That's self-inflicted.
Yeah, it was. Or if he has been hurt, it was accidental from Kiyuste, because the referee got that spot on. It's 100% the right decision to give Ipswich Town the free kick. He's just got to get up and crack on with it. And a yellow card for something he said, the Argentinian Dominguez. He's hobbling. I wonder if Yates might come on for him now. It's gone back down again, getting scant sympathy from the home crowd. So the yellow card count is level. Phillips and Dominguez both in Mr. Salisbury's book. Incidentally, only two other teams, Chelsea and Southampton, have had more cards than Ipswich Town this season. I guess it does tend to be the way when you're down there scrapping for your lives. Davis with this diagonal free kick into the box off to our left, headed down by O'Shea to Hutchinson, wide right outside the Forest area. In comes his cross, eventually looks a good one, headed down, maybe a chance for Philogene, edge of the area, turns, still hasn't shot just yet, it's given it to Phillips, out as far as Davis to the edge of the box, and Ciso plays it to Phillips out to the left hand side, and Delap in the left wing area. Overlapping is Davis, in comes his skimming cross towards the near post. Kiyuste goes down in the area. Or hope and expectation, some shouts from the north stand. O'Shea crunched to the deck, free kick given away by Hudson-Odoi. It's a good 30 plus yards from goal, this one. I think Nuno's going to make some changes. And Ciso And Phillips teeing up this one. Referee wanting a word with Jens Kajuste.
Just need a goal, really. If we could get one, then, you know, this has been a spirited sort of second half display, but we just got to get that first goal on the board.
Double change, I think, imminent for Forest. Yeah, Yates is certainly coming on. And another one of their players down below us has taken off his white tracksuit top. Elio Enciso fancies this one. It's a good 35 yards from goal, this free kick. He knocks it in, looking for a colleague beyond the far stick. O'Shea is there. Knocked back into the middle by Kajuste. Back to goal as Delap. Delap tees it up for Davis, who strikes it off the outside of his left foot. Always curling away from the right post as Seltz was defending his goal. And Dominguez has gone down again.
Good set-up play by Delap, and he just didn't see enough daylight. Leave Davis there. He was closed down very quickly, and he snatched at the shot in the end.
He's applauding sarcastically to the town crowd, Nicholas Dominguez, as he goes off. So he's going off to be replaced by Yates, like for like, in midfield. One of Forest's longest serving players, Ryan Yates. He was the player that showed real class towards Jack Taylor, the first player to go and commiserate with Jack Taylor when he missed that penalty a couple of weeks ago. Ryan Yates said a lot about him and his character. And the other change for Forest is Alanga. Seems to be the player going off to be replaced by Morato, who's a defender. So that's an interesting change from Forest's perspective. No hat-trick for Alanga this afternoon at Portman Road. He's not going to join his fellow countryman Alexander Isak by scoring 3 goals on this pitch this season. On comes Morato just to strengthen things up for Forest, who are probably going to go 3 at the back by the looks of things, with Aina and Williams either side. Yeah, it's going to be Milenkovic, Murillo and Morata, just to make absolutely in his head 100% certain of the victory with a quarter of this game to go. Nuno Espirito Santo. Burgess heads it away in midfield. Milenkovic over the top of Delap. Morato straight involved, the Brazilian. Kajuste scoops it forward, but Aina belts it back up in the air. Wolfenden challenged by Wood. Then Davis heads it to the centre circle. Up goes Enciso, won by Murillo over the top of him. Phillips sends one forward. Seltz is coming to the edge of his area. Delap might get there ahead of him. He does. He lifts it over the top of him towards goal. Milenkovic doesn't want to take any chances and headed out by the near post. It might have had enough on it to creep in there.
I think it was going wide of the post, but the centre half, he doesn't know that. You know, he's in the end, he's got to make a quick decision, and he's decided that I'd rather give a corner away than a goal. It wouldn't have quite gone in, I don't think.
Delap always looked the favourite to get there, and he did indeed, marginally ahead of Seltz. Corner kick to Ipswich Town, their 4th of this half, and Enciso knocks it high beyond the far stick. A couple of players go towards the ball, might come down towards Davis. He and Philogene got in each other's way. There's a breakdown of communication between the two of them there. Hutchinson's run the ball a long way around far side, but too long for him to get onto it. It's out for a Forest throw.
Yeah, they shouldn't have made that. I mean, Philogene and Davis, you know, so close together, but Philogene is the one. He's got to just get himself out of the way. Davis could have had a shot from 18 yards there.
I feel for Philogene in a sense, because he's clearly not a relegation battle kind of player. We'll hopefully see the best of him next season, and hopefully Town will be right up there, challenging for promotion back to this level. But I haven't seen anywhere near the best of him so far. Here he is, Jayden Philogene, back to halfway, and Kajuste into the centre circle, and Wolfenden. 21 minutes still to go. Forest still with that 3-0 half-time advantage. Hutchinson back to O'Shea. No signs of any other changes just yet from the Town bench. Just that sole one at half-time. Burgess on for Greaves. Here is Calvin Phillips, closed down by Wood, gives the ball to Burgess. Infield to Kajuste. Bit of space in midfield for him. Right-footed, he diagonally puts it out towards Hutchinson. Williams stretched up enough and headed the ball out of play. Hutchinson with a throw back to Phillips. Square he goes to Enciso. Ipswich Town get a goal back and put the cat amongst the pigeons with 20 minutes to go. Burgess towards Philogene. Now it's Leif Davis on this left-hand side. Philogene once again now has a chance to run at the Forest back line, held up by a couple of red shirts, gives it infield to Enciso. Kajuste spins, brought down by Anderson. It's a free kick to Ipswich from a fair old distance out.
Yeah, he did well there, Cajuste. He looked as if he was going to be closed down and have the ball taken off him. He spun nicely, would have got away from the scene, but he's been brought down. A decent sort of free kick. It's a fair way out, but it's got an angle on it, so you know, if you can beat that red line there, you've got a chance.
Free kick to Ipswich Town from a long way out. 3-0 Forest lead, and it comes from Davis, glancing it away from Aina. Will reach his full-back on the far side, Williams, who lifted the ball away from Hutchinson. Excellent play from Williams. Now Forest on the front foot, trying to get the first goal of the second half and the fourth overall. Well blocked off by Town, but Forest still have it in midfield with Yates. Gives the ball to Anderson, bounces it off and gets it back. Then Murata is involved on the far side. He played in the cup game a couple of weeks ago. There is Murata again. And it's Yates who bends it back to Seltz out of his area, right-footed, plants it long from left to right down Portman Road. Wolfenden with a good header back to Palmer, well defended. That was difficult because the wind was picking up. He's under pressure from Hudson-Odoi. Good defending from Wolfenden in the air.
Yeah, good play in the end.
19 to go in this game. Just 4 more home games for Ipswich Town this season. Heading into April without a win in 2025. Burgess forward towards Philogene. Back it goes to Burgess. So uncompromising, so brutal, so harsh. The Premier League lessons learnt from Ipswich Town, which will hopefully stand them in good stead going forward as they try to rebuild next season and kick on. Good news yesterday. Plans for a multi-million-pound upgrade, almost a rebuild of the training ground, have been approved. So it's another positive of so many positives in the last couple of years. We must remember this has just clearly been a step too far for Ipswich Town this season on the field. And Ciso gives the ball away in the middle towards Yates. Yates finds Hudson-Odoi. Whilst Alanga's departed, he's still very much on the field, alive and kicking. Hutchinson runs into trouble. Yates comes away with the ball, steps round Phillips. Lovely play from Yates, the number 22, to the left-hand side. Williams inside the Ipswich Town area. Williams into the middle, right across the face of goal. And out the far side for a goal kick to Ipswich Town. That's rather woken up those Forest fans, I think.
Well, it's a dangerous move down the left-hand side, a cross shot which wasn't very far wide, but my big disappointment was that Omari Hutchinson stepped out of that challenge. I mean, he's making out that he's limping there. I think that was, you know, just trying to sort of bluff the crowd a little bit. I think he badly ducked out the challenge, and I don't like to see that.
Well, he's bluffed me as well. I've been taken in by it, haven't I? Ball down the line from Burgess, headed in field by Philogene off the left boot of Murillo. The spinning ball ends up in the crowd down, but it's a good header, sir. Straight into the hands of Cameron Burgess from one of the Town supporters. 17 minutes to go on BBC Radio Suffolk and BBC Sounds. Our last full match commentary until Bournemouth away 2 weeks on Wednesday. Mick will be alongside me on the south coast against another one of the Premier League surprise packages this season. Still in with a shout of Champions League football, Bournemouth. Forward it comes from Davis, always curling away from Delap, straight into the gloves of Seltz. He's had a very comfortable afternoon, it has to be said. He'll give it out underarm to the number 4, Murato. Strong Brazilian influence around this Forest squad at the moment. Also got Danilo on the bench. I think it's Hudson-Odoi down far side, holding the base of his back. Killing a bit more time as far as Forest are concerned. No further goals since the half-time interval. As the ball is out on the far side, just about to see what the attendance is this afternoon. 29,878 watching this Premier League game. There'll be an equal number here in 3 weeks' time when Wolves come. And it's a throw to Forest underneath their supporters. Forest in all red, their fans noisier at the moment. Hutchinson infield to Enciso. Good link up between those two. Enciso's then found Delap. This is nice, promising play from Town on the halfway line. Now bursting forward in blue with Delap. Delap spins, tries to find Cajuste, who'd got in front of him. Forest get players back, and now there's a challenge which has injured a Forest player. The referee seems quite worried about it. I think it's Milankovic. Yeah, it is, the big number 31. Needs some treatment from the visitors' bench.
Well, that was a good attempt by Delap to get a sort of a surge, one of his surges away, but you couldn't help but think that was good play by Forest. I mean, the amount of red shirts that got around him then. You know, that was a team, they're 3-0 up, and the desire to get back behind the ball there was excellent. It really was. I think they, in the end, had something like 7 players in that sort of area that Liam Delap was trying to penetrate.
He was a goalkeeper in his playing days. Nuno Espirito Santo, the Portuguese, he knows how valuable a currency clean sheets are, and at the moment that's the main thing he'll be wanting from this Forest team. They're surely not going to drop points this afternoon, but he'd love to see that 0 alongside Ipswich Town there in what, about 20 minutes from now. We've played 30 minutes of this second half here at Portman Road. Milenkovic is going to be okay. I think accidentally he's rather stood on by one of Liam Delap's boots when they had that little coming together as Town were on the attack. He's going to be okay though. Willie Bolly puts his shirt back on. He's not required as another defensive change. Kieran McKenna's thoughts to come on match day before 6 o'clock, and hopefully those of an Ipswich Town player as well. And your thoughts very welcome as well. We have this break and play. Remind you the numbers: 0800 141 212 is the phone number. Text 81333. Start those SFK. WhatsApps, they also start with SFK. 08000 321 333. Or email me to have a little chat on Monday's Blue Hour, brenner@bbc.co.uk. Play back underway. That's Palmer. Underarm. Bowls it out to Burgess, the half-time change. Still the only change for Ipswich Town. Philogene on the left, stretches, can't do anything with it. Murillo inside his penalty area, finds Aina. Delap wins it back, though. A little bit short from Murillo. Got his mate in some trouble. Philogene now on the left-hand side for Ipswich Town, faced by Gibbs-White and Aina. Gets the ball back, but only to Yates in a good position. Yates up in the air towards halfway. Burgess wins the header. Out it goes near side. So I guess we could recap on other results now, Graham, perhaps.
Yes, Southampton have got one back against Wolves. They trail 2-1. Man City and Brighton are 2-2. Everton trailing 1-0 at home to West Ham.
Well, it's a bit of a surprise at Goodison. Cleared forward by Aina. Ball out near side for a throw-in. So Southampton within touching distance now. Here come the cavalry. Clark, Hurst, Taylor, Broadhead, are they all coming on? Certainly bringing on Clark and Hurst. Now having a word with Nathan Broadhead. Jack Taylor's putting his top back on, his blue coat anyway. It's going to be a triple change for Town. Liven things up. 12.5 minutes to go. Wolfenden gets to halfway. 10 years ago since Chris Wood had that loan spell from Leicester here. He was the player closing down Wolfenden. Philogene gets the ball back to Burgess. One would imagine Philogene's about to make way. Wolfenden just north of the centre circle. It's invited to carry on his run really by Forest, allowing him to go so far before they pounced. Infield from O'Shea. Phillips in the centre circle. Oh, he sells Kayuste, very short. Terrible from Phillips. Now it's 3-on-3, 4-on-3 in Forest's favour. Gibbs-White inside the area, pulls it towards the far stick. No one was there, thankfully, as far as Calvin Phillips and Ipswich Town were concerned, because that was another error.
Yeah, bad mistake, but I just have a feeling that in the end, instead of sort of trying to score, I think they had two minds, and it was almost like a ball in across the 6-yard box for somebody else to finish. I think that's a change of mind was the wrong thing to do, so dangerous again.
Off goes Delap, on comes Hurst, fair enough, given the situation in the game. Philogene is indeed coming off to be replaced by Jack Clark, who dropped out of the starting lineup from Palace. And Broadhead, is he coming on for Hutchinson? We're just going to wait and see. On he comes for Enciso, it is. Triple change for Ipswich Town. It's going to be a triple change for Forest. Oh no, actually just a double change in the end. Awani and Jota coming on. No goal this afternoon for Chris Wood at Portman Road. He goes off to be replaced by Awani, who started the cup game a couple of weeks ago, the former Liverpool player. And Jota, the number 20, the Portuguese, is going to be coming on for Forest for Callum Hudson-Odoi. He doesn't look overly enamoured at that decision. He applauds back to the Forest fans far side. So both managers freshening things up for this Final 10 minutes of this game. Remember, all the damage done.
Hudson-Odoi is doing a Connor Chaplin. Take your time.
In the first half, 35 minutes, 37 minutes and 41 minutes when Forest pedal to the metal and scored all 3 goals. The only 3 goals that we've seen so far. Sam Morsey up and stretching. Dan Bilus looking likely to be the 5th and final change for Town. His kit's visible aside from the yellow bib over the top. He's doing some extensive stretching down below us. Burgess towards the halfway line, out to this left-hand side, and Clark gives it back to Burgess around the corner, finds Phillips, who I guess might be the player that makes way for Morsey. He's on a yellow card as well, Phillips. Clark's done well to pick out Broadhead, about to go away with Wales again, Nathan Broadhead. That'll do him some good to hopefully play some football. O'Shea up towards Hurst, now eligible for Scotland, George Hurst, albeit not in the squad at the moment. Burgess, the international footballers out there for Ipswich Town. Kayuste, another one, on towards Clark, playing with gloves on. Frankly, I don't blame him this afternoon, it's freezing. Hutchinson on the right-hand side, trying to take on Williams. Can Ipswich Town at least get a goal in this game? They're certainly not going to get anything from the match. Kayuste turns, edge of the area, lovely spin, tries to pick his spot, he does! Terrific finish from Jens Kayuste. His first goal in English football, and that was an absolute peach. The spin and then the finish beyond Seltz was wonderful. Ipswich Town 1, Nottingham Forest 3. What a consolation goal that was.
Well, if anybody's deserved to score this afternoon, it is Kayuste, because he's done some really clever work in the midfield in this second half. You know, he's sort of been a little bit unlucky in 1 or 2 things he's done, but he's spun on the ball nicely there. He's got himself an opportunity from 20 yards and he just pretty much passes it into the top of the net. You know, it was a really, really good goal. Excellent goal.
The downside for him might be that he's landed himself with post-match press duties. But that was a really good finish from Jens Kayuste. Does look a good player. Seen it in fits and starts. But that was terrific. Made it himself and finished it himself. Past a very, very good goalkeeper. So no clean sheet for Forest this afternoon. And Town fans still believe. Can you imagine if they go and get something from this game? Score in the next few minutes and you just never know. The ball back towards Palmer. Palmer out towards Burgess. Still inside his penalty area. 3-1 now to Forest on BBC Radio Suffolk. Phillips. Sorry, it's with now Broadhead, infield to Kayuste. Now Phillips on the halfway line, behind Davis, poor from him. Jota has got the ball on this right-hand side, the Portuguese. The challenge of Kayuste sees the ball go out for a throw-in to Nottingham Forest. And it's going to be taken by Aina on this near side. At least Town have got a goal in this game. TV cameras zooming in on Jens Kayuste. 6.5 minutes still to play on BBC Radio Suffolk and BBC Sounds this afternoon. Aina with a throw, should be dealt with by Davis, and is up in the air. Aina gets it down, nice touch from him, finding Anderson. Milenkovic goes back to Seltz, closed down by Hurst. He knocks it forward right-footed, crossing halfway. Davis wins the header. Clark can't flick it on. Milenkovic is there for Forest. And it goes near side off the flying frame of Jack Clark. Kieran McKenna talking to his bench. Awani playing with a face mask on, flicks the ball onto fellow sub Jota. Jota outside the Ipswich area, tries to find Gibbs work. The reverse ball goes down to the feet of Palmer. Palmer smothered the ball, he's held on to it with Leif Davis falling over the top of him.
Good goalkeeping that. He was very, very decisive, and in the end you never really felt that he wasn't going to sort of deal with that situation. It was really good keeping. Early decision, great goalkeeping.
Clutching at straws time. Town are winning the second half 1-0. That's got to be a positive. There is Wolfenden as the wind picks up and shiver once again. There is Luke Wolfenden in the centre of the field. Can Town set up a grandstand finish with a goal before the board goes up? Clark towards Phillips. Phillips drops a shoulder out the midfield. He gives it to Davis. A bit too heavy, that ball from Phillips. Davis stretched out his left leg, couldn't do too much with it. The change actually for Town is going to be Taylor coming on rather than Morsey. Taylor replaces Phillips. Phillips has got through 85 minutes. And we head into the final 5 minutes of the 90 with a Nottingham Forest throw-in their half of the field. Aina to take it up towards Awani, doesn't get on the ball. Burgess then plays it forward, battered up in the air by Milenkovic away from Hurst. Kayuste battling with Gibbs-White. Broadhead gets on the ball but then loses it to Anderson. Town win it back with Taylor to Broadhead. Broadhead tries to squeeze it towards Hutchinson. He's managed to do that. Hutchinson getting the better of Williams for once. Forward come the blue shirts, trying to make it 3-2. The Reds are behind the ball though. Town still have it. Nice link up between Broadhead and Hutchinson. Then he bypasses the referee back to Burgess. Town still believe. Hutchinson to the left-hand side, and Clark, the number 47, comes in field right-footed, deflected off a Forest player to the D, headed away by Yates towards Awani, held up by Wolfenden. The ball was on to Gibbs-White eventually. It's played forward by Yates. 2-on-1. Forest have the ball. Gibbs-White in the centre. Jota to make it 4. Nottingham Forest have re-established their 3-goal lead. It's a big defeat this for Ipswich Town. Jota, it came off Palmer but still managed to nestle in the corner of the net. Ipswich Town's lifeline has been extinguished by that breakaway goal from Nottingham Forest. A lot of the crowd are leaving. It's Ipswich Town 1, Nottingham Forest 4.
Yeah, and it's Yates, the man that should take all the accolades there. He was the one. They had the breakaway, but the man on the ball couldn't see the real good run that was being made by a Forest player. But Yates could see it, and he pretty much took over and played a superb ball through. He was the one that created the 2v1. From that moment onwards, it was always going to be a goal, but the pass was superb by Yates.
So many empty blue seats, people streaming out behind us. Wow. Well, what a shame. I just wondered if Ipswich Town could get it back to 3-2, if it might be one of those games we talked about for a long old while. Well, sadly not. It's definitely all over now. Taylor in the centre of the field gives it towards O'Shea. Amari Hutchinson on the far side of the field, back towards O'Shea on halfway. And now Burgess, again clinical when they got the opportunity at Nottingham Forest. Like we said in the first half, when opportunities come along, you'd expect one of the big guns to do that against you, and they've shown why they're up there, Forest, this season. Wolfenden's on a mazy run. He's carried the ball quite a distance, gets into the Forest half, then checks out with the ball to Kayuste. Danilo, Brazilian midfielder, about to come on for Forest. Muratu tries to see the ball up behind against Broadhead and manages to do just that. 88 on the clock. Gibbs-White, I think it is. I got to see the number. Yeah, it is the number 10 who's going to come off and be replaced by Danilo, another starter in the cup game a couple of weeks ago. The Brazilian with the peroxide hairstyle down below. It's a very good player. Missed a lot of football though this season. Barely played between August and January, but back and available for the run-in. Be a weapon from the bench for Forest as the games progress. Of course, it was Forest who had that astonishing 7-0 win against Brighton not that long ago, having lost to Bournemouth 5-0 in their previous match. Still, people disappearing from, in particular, the north stand as I look off to my left-hand side. All the noise obviously coming from the Forest fans. No one's left early from their perspective. Milenkovic up towards Jota. Jota with a header down to the left-hand side. It's Anderson outside the Ipswich area, still has the ball, holds on to it. Jota then plays it back towards Danilo. Final minute of the 90. Still, as far as we know, Wolves leading 2-1 at Southampton. Broadhead goes forward. Murillo gets there ahead of Hurst. Back it goes to Murillo. This is always more about what Ipswich Town did this afternoon, and we were just hoping that Southampton could do the Blues a favour, but it's too big a gap now. On the far side, it's going to be a throw-in which Williams will take. His next game, remember, 2 weeks Wednesday. Full match commentary in match night. Look alongside me at Bournemouth. Clattered forward by Murillo, up in the air, nodded forward by Hurst. A few seconds away from being told how much added on time there's going to be. Lovely play from Dinello. 4 minutes. Anderson down the left-hand side for Forest. Gets the ball towards the byline, plays it off O'Shea. Out underneath the Forest fans. And, well, Forest have doubled Ipswich Town in the league this season and knocked them out of the FA Cup. Something of a bogey side. This is 6 games unbeaten for Forest against Ipswich Town. Forest with Williams goes back to Murata, who's been playing on the left of that back three since he came on. Forest coming forward now, lovely play into the Ipswich Town area, good play into the centre it comes, but into the hands of Palmer. It was Williams who had a really good, inventive, creative run there.
Yeah, he's got himself into a really dangerous spot, and you just worried that could have been the 5th one.
Could have been. Taylor up towards Hurst. Hurst goes square to Broadhead. Back towards Kayuste. Now Taylor in midfield over the top looking for Hurst. Lovely ball. Hurst inside the area, but it's guided back by Murillo to his goalkeeper. I thought he got a touch on the ball, Murillo. Thought that could have been deemed a back pass to Celts. Not really made a massive difference. Thought for a second Hurst was going to get in there and score against Forest for the 2nd time this season. 2.5 minutes to go. Kieran McKenna's thoughts to come. Yours very welcome at 0800 141 2121. Text 81333. Start those messages. SFK. WhatsApp 08000 321 333. Again SFK at the start. Wolfenden, good ball out, looking for Davis. He spotted the run, but so too did Aina, and he headed the ball back off his right temple. Back towards Matt Celts, beaten by that superb finish from Jens Kayuste. Right foot forward from Celts up towards Awani. First touch was good enough. Forest have it on the far side of the field as the clock just winds its way down. We're into the final couple of minutes of the added on time. Jack Taylor has the ball up towards Hurst. Can Ipswich Town get a second goal in this game? Hurst back to Taylor on that right hand side. Amari Hutchinson running down the outside of the Forest area, gets it back to O'Shea. Chance for the captain to cross into the centre. It comes. Hurst with a header and a goal. Really good header from George Hurst. His 2nd goal this season against Ipswich Town. At least they're putting up a fight right till the death, albeit the points have gone from this game. But it's now Ipswich Town 2, Nottingham Forest 4. And you can't criticise them for their character and their spirits, this Ipswich Town team. But sadly, the points are all going back to the East Midlands. But I think I said before this game, or at some point in the first half, it's never going to be a game with 5, 6, 7 goals. Well, I got that wrong. We've had 6 goals. Sadly, 4 of them have been in Alex Palmer's net, but a world away the scoreline from the tight games that we've seen in League and Cup so far this season. Here is Danilo out to the far side, and Williams. Ball down the line to Anderson. Probably be about another minute to be played because of that goal celebration, albeit it was very subdued, didn't mean a great deal to Ipswich Town. It was a lovely ball in, a great header from Hurst. Good to see. It's had a decent season when called upon, George Hurst. Aina down the right hand side, getting into the Ipswich Town area. Jack Clark is there, he plays the ball off Clark, and that's going to be another corner kick to Forest. To say another one, it's their 3rd of the game, but only their 1st in this 2nd half. Danilo is going to be on it. We've gone past the added on 4 minutes here at Portman Road. Portman Road, which has nowhere near 29,800 people in it at the moment, as more and more disappear. But those early departures have missed a really good goal from George Hurst. Corner kick to Nottingham Forest. Danilo to take it in towards the near stick. Slice clearance away for Jota, who almost took the net away with that one. It was always rising. He appealed that it came off an Ipswich Town play and should be a corner kick. The referee is just checking something or other and blows up Ipswich Town's worst ever start to a calendar year continues. They now head into the final international break of this season without a win in 2025. The only team in all top 4 tiers of English football who will head out of this 2-week break, still looking for that first victory, and things looking bleaker and bleaker in terms of their Premier League survival. A really damaging home defeat, this to Nottingham Forest, 4-2 the final score. And of course Town heading into April with just that solitary home win of the season against Chelsea. So very, very disappointing this, albeit they got a couple of goals right at the death. And well, overall, Nick Mills, what were your thoughts on that?
Well, I think generally speaking that, you know, for probably half an hour of the game, you know, we were sort of, I thought we'd opened the game well. We looked as if we were in good nick, and it was a close game. It was an enjoyable game to watch, but then we had that sort of mad sort of few minutes when Forest sort of took a 2-goal lead, and then they managed to get a third from a mistake by us. And for us to recover from that situation at half-time was we had to start really quickly in the second half. I thought that we opened the second half in a good sort of way. We had plenty of possession. We had territorially, we were in charge. We've got ourselves a couple of corner kicks, free kicks, but we couldn't quite get the one goal on the board that we needed early enough. It did come in the end, you know, but it was a little bit too late, you know, to get that real surge. And we were hoping that maybe we could get a second one, but there was no real signs that it was going to be. And then Forest had that one sort of breakaway with an excellent ball from Yates that set the 2v1 up, and you know, Forest have gone 4-1 in front. They've won the game. Okay, there was another consolation goal, but generally speaking, it's another one of those games where you, before the game, you think this is going to be the one where we can get ourselves some points. For a lot of moments in the game, you think, yeah, there's the possibility that we will win the game, but ultimately we've lost the game again, and that seems to be happening just far too many times this season. You know, where we think we're in with a chance, but we don't actually take control of it to win the game. So we're in this very, very difficult position now.
It's hard to see them staying up, isn't it? Now Wolves have won, incidentally. They beat Southampton 2-1, so the gap's 9 points, effectively 10 with goal difference. It's too big a gap to bridge now, isn't it, Mick?
No, it's gone away from us now, really, and I think Wolves are a slightly better team than us anyway, and I think that the games that are coming up immediately after the break, I think they favour Wolves anyway. I think April on paper is very, very difficult for us, slightly easier for Wolves, and I think that probably before May comes, when I think the matches we've got in May are a little bit kinder for us, I think it would be they're just come too late for us to get out of trouble, you know. So I think that there's going to be more distance between us and Wolves than what we would have liked, you know. And I think this one today is a major turning point. It really is. There was a lot of people that still felt a little bit optimistic that it could be done, but the fact that Wolves have gone down to Southampton, got themselves 3 points, and we've failed to get 1 point at Portman Road, and it's a massive swing, it really is, and for it to change after today will be a miracle.
Yeah, it does feel like it's a pivotal day in the battle to avoid relegation to the Championship. In terms of Wolves winning that game down at Southampton, and sadly here, our main focus on BBC Radio Suffolk has been Ipswich Town's 4-2 defeat at home to Nottingham Forest.